Greetings from the island of Patmos. My name is Phil Whitehead. I'm doing a short series on John of Patmos. We come to this beautiful island, and every time we come, I think of John. I think of the last surviving apostle, the one who was the youngest apostle, who is now the last surviving apostle, the one that penned John's Gospel, 1st, 2nd and 3rd John, but then here on the island of Patmos received his greatest revelation, the book of Revelation. It's here on Patmos where the Bible ended. Genesis, the beginning of the Bible, right here on Patmos, the book of Revelation ends the Bible. And I often think of John, his thoughts, how he felt here on what was then a Roman penal colony, where he was in exile from his church in Ephesus, probably working through a number of things in his heart and in his mind. Before that, I'll just show you behind me is what is known as St. Peter's Rock. It's where many hermits of old would come and stay and live and sleep rough. You can see behind me are the stairs someone's chiseled out. There's other places where it was prepared for cooking or for storing rainwater so that the hermits could drink. It's a typical place and would be similar, I guess, to the cave of Revelation, where John was known to go and pray above the port of Scalia. You know, John was probably thinking his best days were behind him. He'd had a whole life of ministry. God had preserved him, and I believe God had preserved his life because he had the great message of love, which floods the Gospel of John and floods 1 John particularly. And now he's coming to the end of his days, but as it says, he was in the Spirit on the Lord's day, the Sabbath day. And he heard a voice behind him say, "Come on up. I have things to show you. I have nations for you to prophesy to. I have peoples, churches for you to speak to." And so it's here on the island of Patmos that John received what became the last book of the Bible. I think it's important as we look at the book of Revelation to realize it's not a book to necessarily have lots of theories about. Many try and equate human political leaders, civic leaders, even religious leaders to symbols in the book of Revelation. It is first and foremost, as it says right at the beginning of the book, a revelation of Jesus Christ. When John saw Jesus, he saw Jesus in all his glory. His face shining as in the noonday sun, out of his mouth a two-edged sword, his eyes blazing with fire, the fire of God's love, his hair as white as wool. And we see here Jesus glorified. When Jesus came and walked the earth, John, it says in John's Gospel, would lean on the bosom of Jesus. When John saw Jesus in his glorified form, he fell as though dead at the feet of Jesus. This was a day where John saw Jesus in a whole new way. It's also where Jesus revealed to him who really was in charge. He says, "I'm the Alpha and the Omega. I am the beginning and the end. I have the keys to death and Hades." He has conquered. He is the conquering king. He is the one who was there right at the beginning, and he is the one who will wind things up. He says in Matthew's Gospel, he has all authority in heaven, but also on earth. John must have seen at that time, at that moment, who was really in charge. It wasn't the Romans who were holding him prisoner. It was Jesus Christ. And nothing could stop the revelation that Jesus wanted to pour into this aging apostle at that time. At that time, John must have seen his life from a different perspective. Perhaps before, he saw himself controlled by the rulers of the day, by the emperor who had ordered the persecution of the Christians. But on that day, he saw it was Jesus that was in control, and God was using even his time here in exile in Patmos to reveal things to him, to reveal things about the 7 churches back on what is now mainland Turkey that God wanted to speak to him about directly. He has things to show John. He was calling him, come up higher. And I believe sometimes we can think, wow, there's so many factors in my life that restrict me. There's so many factors, things that seem to cause me to struggle to really fulfill what I'm meant to do. But on that day, God showed John that he is the one who has all things in his hands. He is the one who will see out the end of the age. He is the one who, to the persecuted Christians of the hour, will create a new heaven, a new earth, where every tear will be dried, where there will be no more pain, no more death, no more fear, no more persecution. He showed John the end of the age. Sometimes we may think our best days are behind us. Sometimes we may feel our circumstances have restricted us. But God has something more to do and show us. I believe that one of the things that cries out from John here on the Isle of Patmos is, come up higher. Come up higher. See your life. See your situation from a heavenly perspective. See the circumstances of your life from a divine perspective. Come up higher. He still has things to show you. He still has things to unveil to you. And to the Apostle John, this was a time where God gave him the amazing revelation, the beginning and end of all things. The book of Revelation that closes out the Bible, that shows us how things will end up. The glorious victory of the kingdom of God, the reign of Jesus Christ, the new heaven, the new earth. It shows us the end of all things. So I believe, however restricted you may feel, hear the voice of the Spirit. I have more to show you. Come up higher. God bless you.